I know they're going back and forth.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they would matter. If he wants to make some money, Floyd want to make some money.
It's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. He make no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking at right now.
How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling story, in my opinion.
Mike Tyson commented that a matchup between Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou might not make the most sense competitively, but it would still grab massive attention and bring in huge revenue. He said the curiosity around who would win makes it an exciting event to watch. According to Tyson, the unpredictable nature of such a fight would easily draw fans from both the boxing and MMA worlds.
Such a big MMA fan. You know, I've been to UFC fights and I see you sitting octagon side. I can't help but wonder if you had gotten into MMA as a young man, as a teenager, instead of boxing, how do you think your career would have went, Mike?
Hey, I had no idea, but I'm really enthused about the MMA, you know, because not thinking, I had no idea that Raphael, who's from a background of MMA, would know so much about boxing. I had no idea, you know, only thing I know about great boxing is the great Ed Joffa, who was a legendary boxer who happened to be Brazilian, but never knowing, just not being conscious that he would know that much about boxing.
Do you think you could have learned all the wrestling moves and the takedown defense and could have been a champion in something like the UFC?
I could have done all that stuff. But once someone stepped on my foot, I would have tapped out. My feet are my weak spot.
Francis Ngannou, however, was not impressed with the idea. He called the offer to fight Jake Paul disrespectful to his name and career, saying that Jake hasn't earned the right to share the ring with someone who has reached the top of professional fighting. Ngannou added that this kind of proposal shows how much modern entertainment has drifted away from real combat sports.
About you to fight Jake to replace Javante, I'm like, who's Jake? You know, like, I was so confused, you know, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, you know, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say like, they even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started up. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. He make no sense for me. It's not my what.
Chael Sonnen reacted to the talk of Jake Paul possibly facing Ngannou with a mix of humor and disbelief. He said that while it would be interesting to see, it's not because the matchup is fair, but to find out how much punishment Jake could actually take. Sonnen joked that Tyson Fury, one of the toughest heavyweights in the world, was knocked down by a single clean punch from Ngannou. If Fury, a much bigger and more experienced fighter, struggled to handle that power, Jake would be in real danger. Sonnen added that while Jake's confidence makes him entertaining to watch, facing someone like Ngannou is a completely different challenge, one he may not be ready for.
This tells this story that Nikista's offering him the fight, but he's just not hearing it that way. Like, all right, you said you need help, and you called me, and I'm happy to help you, but you know what is it that I can do? So when Francis finally realizes it, he not only says no, he says he was offended. He said, Jake, you want me to bite Jake? Jake who? I said, Jake Paul. He said, that makes no sense. That's the last thing I would want to do right now. It's the last thing that I'm looking for. And, all right. Now that is a good and comical story. And I think that Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit for that. I would have really liked if that match would have gotten booked. I mean, I think that would just solve so many problems from a storyline perspective. And there's this story going on out there that and it has to do with courage. Now, how you ever question a combat athlete's courage, I think, is hard. How you ever question a boxer's courage, right? Where you've only got two things you can do, and they're both involve bludgeoning. You can't even grab a hold of the guy or try to squeeze him. You can only bludgeon and be bludgeoned back. I think you're got an uphill battle to question somebody. But they have been very effective in doing just that to Jake. Hey, you started with this NBA guy, and then even those MMA guys, they're not boxers. And then when you got around to the boxers, but they weren't current boxers. Then when you get around to the current boxers, they're not big enough boxers. And I just loved it. When I heard that Francis Ngannou might be going against Jake, I loved it. I mean, what's that going to look like? How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling.
Experts point out that Francis Ngannou is far heavier and more powerful than anyone Jake Paul has ever faced. Gervonta Davis, for example, is a lightweight known for speed and precision, while Ngannou is a 260-pound powerhouse built on raw strength and knockout force. Analysts say that if Jake is serious about fighting Ngannou, he would need to completely redesign his training program, from adding muscle and endurance work to learning how to take punches from a heavyweight. Unlike his previous influencer-style matches, this fight would require months of specialized training under elite boxing coaches just to make it through a few rounds.
Something unique. It would be something incredible. It's the same reason that I would be intrigued by a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event. And a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from like Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, like the weight different and everything, it make no sense.
It's a good point. I mean, obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need to even try to compete if it's someone like a Francis Ngannou or even an Andre Ward or whoever else. Not just the fight style's different.
Boxing analyst and former champion Tim Bradley explained that the cancellation of the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight affected far more than just the fighters. Promoters, broadcasters, and sponsors all took major financial hits. The event was expected to bring in millions through pay-per-view and advertising, but once Davis's legal trouble surfaced, networks and sponsors pulled out to protect their reputations. Bradley said this shows how fragile the business side of boxing really is. When one fighter's image collapses, everyone who invested in the event ends up losing.
Let's get on Tank real quick. You gotta be the dumbest dude, in the history of boxing, bro. $40 million, dog, down the drain. You gotta be the dumbest dude I've ever seen in the history of boxing, bro. Seriously. I'm like, $40 million, bro. Wealth. Literally wealth, bro. Going down the drain. I don't understand it. I can't make the... I don't understand it. But I'll tell you this. MVP promotions, whatever the hell y'all call it, most valuable promotions, shit, more like rookie promotions. Yeah, more like rookie promotions. You didn't know what you were dealing with. You had no clue. This has always been down Tank's alley, man. Now, let me just say one thing. You innocent until proven guilty. Ain't no charges been pending on Tank at all. But I'm just saying, this has always came up within the last few fights of Tank's career. Yeah, it has. And MVP, more like RP, rookie promotions, yeah, y'all should have had a backup plan. You should have had a backup fighter. Yup. You live and you learn. Oh, absolutely. You live and you learn. You should have had a plan B, just in case this man, Tank Davis, don't show up. Yeah. That's what you should have done. Now you're looking like idiots. You know, I heard through the grapevine the joint wasn't even selling. Yeah, because everybody's tired of your bull crap, Jake Paul. Yeah, everybody's tired of that. Wasn't nobody